business model. If it is more of a business solution than it is a technology solution, then and the technology doesn't need to scale or it's being built on Facebook or other things, you obviously it becomes less expensive. You don't have to worry about some of the technical hurdles. Again, if it is a technical product and they just have a business idea around it, then yeah, it's probably kind of an issue.
Yeah, for me, I have a strong bias towards deep technical expertise, but I will fund a business that doesn't have a technologist on the team, but I won't fund a business unless there is a lead technologist. So what I mean by that is there has to be someone on the team who is responsible for the technology and who digs into it and is thinking about it. They could be a lawyer, right? They could be an artist, but there has to be one person that wakes up in the morning and goes, what's going to happen with the code, or what's happening with the engineers, or what's happening with the offshore team. Because without that, I think they're going to have problems.
The thing that we're talking about is much more East Coast based, because if you go to the West Coast, it's all engineering centric. So I mean, on the East Coast, we're much more business centric. So we're willing to sort of say, okay, no big deal, we can outsource or we can find someone, or once you get capital, please go hire a good technology person. Whereas on the West Coast, I think if it's not an engineer running the company, they think, oh my God, this is dysfunctional, it can't possibly survive, it's going to die, and we shouldn't get involved in this. Is that correct?
As generalizations go, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think the speed of iteration is what's really important. Statistically, your business model is probably going to change between when you come up with the idea and when you actually start getting paid customers. So if you can't constantly change and zig and zag, you're going to have a higher chance of problems.
Great, thank you. Okay.
I'll keep it quick. Steve, as for your last comment, and I'd like to hear from you as well, because you have a little bit of technical bias. As a non-technical co-founder, how do you gauge a developer's skill abilities when considering them as a partner founder?
I was quite technical, so I don't know if that's really going to answer.
So not
me, so
As a computer science professor, it's a little hard. No, I think which I was, but I think the answer is give them a task and see how quickly it comes back. Give them the task, ask for a schedule. If it comes back in less than 2x what they've provided, you got to move.
Yeah, I used to write code also, so that helps. But when I'm really impatient to figure it out, I asked my first co-founder, who's much more technical than me, and take him out to lunch and let him sort of grow, or her.
Although I will say, as a non-technical person, the one thing you can learn are at least the disciplines of the different types of technology. Because I think everyone assumes that technology, so please build this, and that's not how technology works. Technology is actually quite easy to learn. Even if you just pick up the NYU CS department and you take the 101 classes, it will actually break out the difference between what systems are versus on and on. So the point is just learn what each group does, and then figure out where your problem is, and just focus at least in the general area. And you'll be a lot better off than just thinking I need to find a technical co-founder, which I'm sure a lot of people are looking for a technical co-founder don't even ask sort of what their backgrounds are, what problems they enjoy solving.
Yeah, I mean, what we look for in technical co-founders today are architects. These are what are called system architects. Because so many of the issues that come around scaling, if you're really a giant success, then the ones that have sort of make it through a lot of the chasms, like as opposed to the Friendster, which didn't get there, Facebook, which did, Facebook really was able to scale and scale and scale. And that was system architecture kind of things. And the system architect can then parcel out the specific, whether you use PHP or Python or whatever, all those technical details come together.
I also recommend.
As someone from on the other side of it, what would you look for in someone who approached you from the business side? What would intrigue you to jump on a team?
I mean, the first thing I look is their experience, and the second is passion. Like, are they really an expert in the subject? But the first thing everybody looks at is experience. If they have like 5 exits, then that's very good sign. But one advice I have for the non-technical founders is try to keep on top of like what's happening out there. So if somebody says to you Ruby on Rails, like kind of know what it is. Don't think it's like a railroad. It's a programming language. So I think it really helps to like keep on top of these things. Just daily read like a couple of blogs and try to like know what's going on out there. For example, know about like Google App Engine and versus like Amazon EC2. And and move these things and quickly figure out. So it takes like 2 minutes. Any other questions?
I think you had a co-founder. I heard you said you're looking for someone with experience. I heard Stephen mention recruiting on a college campus. And I think investors like teams with experience. So how do you judge the difference between getting a co-founder who might be cheaper and a college graduate versus who's more experienced, maybe more expensive?
Well, I mean, I think investors like good ideas and good businesses. If they happen to also be founded by people who have experience, that's obviously less risk. And so that's, less risk is always a positive in this game. But, there are many young, college graduates who are, without even finishing school, Bill Gates is a good example, and a few others, that are going out and doing it without a lot of experience. I think everyone recognizes that new technologies or new ideas typically come from people who are taking a very fresh look at the way the world works today. And their idea goes very much in contrast. Disruption by itself means that someone else believes the way you're looking at the world is wrong. They're not going to change. You want to change the world. One person's going to win that war of ideas and walk away with probably the lion's share of the reward. That tends to usually be people who are not coming from a existing frame of reference, right? They're starting in college saying, this is all stupid, why don't we just do this? And so that's not unusual. I think investors generally are very comfortable with people who don't have a lot of business experience because they can surround them with people who do have.
I think we bring those people in later on if there's a great idea. Usually we bring in people with sales experience and the Rolodex. If it's a business-to-business sales, they know who to call and how to do that. You add that to the team of a visionary and technical co-founder. That's easier than starting with somebody who's got sales experience but doesn't have an idea what to sell.
Yeah, it's labor intensive. I mean, thousands and thousands of hours to figure out how to build a valid business. And I think people coming out of college might be used to that kind of working continuously, non-stop environment. And I think as you get more experienced people, sometimes they can't work the 100-hour work week or sleep under the desk for 3 days straight because that's what it takes to do that. So I don't think that. I think what you want is great people who are smart. The amount of experience can be dialed up or dialed down later as appropriate.
Yeah, I will say one thing that, when Heidi and I invest, we don't do as many deals. These guys do a lot more deals than we do. When we invest, we'll only invest in a group that we believe the CEO could actually be the CEO all the way through the entire business. We think the biggest risk is when the founder is seen as, not to misuse the word, but visionary, which is usually the guy who's got a great idea who needs to move out relatively quickly because he's got the idea and he should evangelize it, but he shouldn't be the person running it. And so historically, visionary is not necessarily the most positive word to use with regards to a founder or an entrepreneur. It usually is the tee up to eliminate that person. So we just try to find really good business people who we think, with good mentoring, are looking for advice and they're looking to surround themselves with great people. Usually the best successes in technology have been because the founder, whether it be Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Larry Ellison or on and on, Mark Zuckerberg or the Google guys plus Eric, those have usually been the companies that really take the idea and scale it very quickly, are the ones that peter out, are the ones where you usually bring in the professionals who are, again, not necessarily as disruptive in the way they think about their business.
I don't disagree with that. I don't use visionary jargon, though. But it does take Michael Dell bringing in Glenn Henry early on at Dell Computer from IBM experience, or Bill Gates bringing in Mike Maples and John Shirley actually at the very beginning from Radio Shack. So, but with the notion that they were going to run it, but they were going to learn how to run it. That they didn't know everything there was to know. And I agree, we do look for people who will stay all the way through as the people with new ideas, managers, and so on. And it doesn't always happen, but we also need somebody with the passion that he or she can evangelize the vision that they want.
How does Zuckerberg do that same thing?
Cheryl has made a tremendous difference.
Great. We have 10 more minutes, so a couple more questions.
Yeah, I would imagine the co-founder is someone you know and trust. How would you find a co-founder?
How did you find a co-founder that you can trust?
In this kind of part of where you don't know anybody.
Well, you first meet them.